friends, how are you? Welcome to Mondays with Marley, your fun lunch and learn destination podcast for everything knitting and crochet, where we're going to chat, craft, and connect and just have a genuinely good time. Whether you are joining us here on YouTube, or you are listening to the RSS feed, or you have subscribed to us on Apple Podcasts, we are happy you are joining us. If you don't know already, my name is Marley Bird. I am your By Crafty bestie. All that means is I knit and crochet, and I love both of them so much. And I just love to dive in with everything that has to do with yarn, with tools, with patterns, with design. I mean, just all of it. I think it's so much fun. I love seeing all of you here. It is so nice to see a lot of familiar faces. Hi, Julia, Michelle, Stacy, Gail, Rhonda, Karen, Christina, Mary, Caitlin, Nanas, Mary, another Cindy, Thea, Casper, Jennifer, Cheryl, Fabi, Vicky. Oh my gosh. Hi, guys. Oh, it's so great to see you guys here. So as you guys know, this is the second podcast that I have put together for Mondays with Marley. And so with this one, I'm going to jump in a little bit more with a regimented segment. So we're going to give this a whirl. So bear with me as I'm trying to find my way through these podcasts a little bit and make sure that I'm giving you everything you need. Hi, Trish. First things first, what did you guys think of the first show? From what I could see online, a lot of you like the vision of what I have for Mondays with Marley and what I plan on putting out there. And you're just excited to get to hang out with a friend every Monday. And that just thrills me so much. Thank you so much for all of the kind words and messages that you guys have sent me. We've gotten some wonderful emails. We've gotten some great messages. We've got some great comments. Keep them coming. If you don't know, my love language is words of affirmation. So the more you give me, the better I feel. I know that sounds crazy, but it's the truth. Thank God my husband knows that about me. So he's really good about giving me words of affirmation. Hi, Mindy. So if you can tell, I'm still battling this cold. Whatever it is, it's just hanging around. It is really stuck up in my head. So luckily the cough is a little bit there, but it's nowhere near like it was this summer. So that's a bonus. We're still trying to get healthy over here. The boys went back to college this weekend, so it's been a little bit quiet over the weekend with them not here, but it's going to be good. I'm excited for them for their second semester. For Josiah, it is his freshman year. For Caden, it's technically his junior year, but he is actually going to graduate early, so he's starting his senior year now this semester. So very excited for them for both school and for track. So those are all the big things happening over here. I did finally get my finished samples to finish off my Jolly Holiday collection. So I've taken pictures of those over the weekend. I had Josiah's girlfriend, Taylor. You guys know Taylor. You've been following along. She is the one who modeled the garden party reboot. And she has done several other designs of mine too. And then her brother, Jordan, actually modeled the male vest design. So I get those put together and released out there into the world for the Jolly Holiday Finish Up collection. So make sure you are part of the newsletter, the Marley Bird newsletter, because as soon as we put that out there as free, because it'll be free on the website for 24 hours only. And then the people who purchase Jolly Holiday, of course, it automatically goes into your Marley Bird house. But the free PDF will be out just for 24 hours. And we will let you know in the newsletter, but we'll also let you know on the Marley's Minions, in the Marley's Minions Facebook group. So very excited that I get to wrap that up. I am still waiting on my sample to finish up the turkey trot bonus pattern. Somebody asked me the other day, if they were missing it. And I said, no, you're absolutely not missing it. The pattern is written. The sample is getting made. And so I'm waiting for the sample to come in. If you remember at all, I originally was going to make the vest that I did out of the Lion Brand mandala yarn. I was going to make that into my bonus pattern with the sleeves and everything. And I was so done knitting because it was my second vest I had made. And I was like, nope, I'm just going to have this made in a different yarn, a different color, a different size. And so once I get that back, Cheryl's right there. Oh, Cheryl, no pressure. Cheryl is in the chat room right now. She's actually the contractor who's making it. No pressure at all, Cheryl. I'm just letting everybody know that I just don't have it, but the pattern is written. Like, it's all done. We're just waiting on the sample. So that will be coming out soon. The only other little bit of news I can give you guys is that you're definitely going to want to pay attention to the Marley Bird YouTube channel and to the Erin Lane Bags website this week. This is the week that we are having the By Crafty Bestie Volume 2 box come out. We will do a soft launch with everybody who purchased the first ones. And then if they don't sell us out, we're going to open it up to the public. Now, we do have fewer boxes than we did with the first one. So the chances of us getting sold out it's definitely possible, but we will see. So make sure that you are paying attention to that. That's coming up. And if you don't already know, I've been hinting that we are going to do a sock make along. So I'm just going to let you know the Bestie box is surrounded around socks, both knitting and crochet. So I'm just giving that little spoiler out there. Okay, so let's talk about the first thing I have written down for me is let's talk about the yarn you should be trying out or patterns you should be taking a look at right now. So here's what I decided. I was like, you know what? There's some other yarns coming out, and I have Hirschner's actually sending me some specific yarn that they want me to do an unboxing with you with. So I'm very excited about that. And then of course, Yarnspiration sent me some yarn recently that I did a review on here on the channel already for the is it Simply Me? I already forgot the name. So I didn't want to go over that again. So what I wanted to do is I'm going to bring up a yarn that I actually purchased at a craft fair. I don't know if you call it a craft fair. It was like a yarn shop put it together, and there were different yarn companies that were there. And so this particular yarn company, she dyes the yarn, and then she has a yarn truck that she travels around Indiana specifically. I don't know if she goes anywhere else, but you can buy her stuff online. And so I got the most beautiful blue yarn, and it's a DK weight yarn. It's gorgeous. So I was like, you know what? Let's take a look at that yarn, and so you guys can see what that's all about. So what I have here, let me change my point of view here, and this will go out of focus and then come back in focus here in just a minute. But I am pulling out some gorgeous, would you call this sapphire blue, you guys? Like it's sort of a royal blue, sapphire blue. It's absolutely stunning. It's like one of the most beautiful colors. I purchased several of them. I think I got 10. And this is, the yarn itself is Raven DK. That's the line. And it says the color is Range Line, but it's a beautiful, almost, I mean, would you call it cerulean blue? I would like to know what you guys think, but this yarn is gorgeous. And it's by a company named Indigo Guinea Fiber LLC. Now, I have put that link in the video description box below, so you guys can absolutely go say hello. Hello, Sunny. So there's just gorgeous yarn, and it has a beautiful ply to it. The colors that she dyed for me, they are, I'm going to call them a semi-solid because they aren't completely solid. You can tell there's a little bit of darker blue and then a little bit of a lighter blue, but they're not so off in shade that I'm really worried about like severe striping or anything. I love the way she put it all together. And what was really awesome is when I went to buy this, she only had like 4 or 5 skeins, and I wanted to get 10 because, I mean, let's be honest, if I'm going to use this yarn to make something, I'm going to make something for me. And I'm a size 2X, 3X, so it requires a lot of yardage. So if I'm going to buy yarn, I'm going to make sure I have a sweater quantities worth of yarn. And so the dyer wanted to make sure that I had yarn that all came from the same dye lot. So she took a custom order for me and dyed all the yarn for me so that way it would all work together. And I thought that was just fabulous. And I guess this is something that she does do. So I wanted to show you this just beautiful yarn. Just beautiful yarn. Now, this particular yarn, this is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. So if I wanted to use this for socks, like I have a lot of socks, I could use this for like a thicker pair of socks. Absolutely could do that. I'm not going to do that. I planned on making myself a sweater with some cables because I think it would just be absolutely gorgeous. But the great thing about knowing it's a superwash yarn is I'm not super worried about it being super itchy for me. So not that the itchiness bothers me too much when it comes to wool. It actually bothers me more in alpaca, which is surprising because alpaca is a hypoallergenic yarn. But I like a superwash yarn. The only thing that I want to be careful with superwash is it does tend to pill. And so you want to be very careful as you're wearing it and that you're not like rubbing on things too much and whatnot. You just want to pay attention to it. But I love this yarn. It's a small yarn company. I thought if you guys are in the market at all, excuse me, for some yarn, you should check out Indigo Guinea Fiber LLC. And if you go to indigoguineafiber.com, again, the link is in the video description box, you can check out all of her different yarns, which I did pull up here. So let's see here. This is her website. And so I wanted to pull it up so that way you guys could see. I clicked on the shop button right over here. And when you click on the shop button, it pulls up all of the different bases. Now, what a base means, it's the base of the yarn itself. So you can see here that the chickadee is a lace weight yarn and 100% superwash merino. And the sparrow is a fingering weight superwash merino and nylon. Starling is a fingering weight, 80% superwash, 20% silk. You see what I mean? So like the base is different. So I could get this same color in a different base if I wanted to. Raven is the one that I got. I got Raven DK, which is the 75 merino, 25 nylon. And then of course they have Wren, which is worsted, Dodo, which is bulky, Dove, which is a DK single ply, Cardinal, which is a sport. I love sport. And this one is a 85%, is it Targi or Tarhi? I can't remember how to say that name. And then 15% nylon. Finch is again a fingering weight yarn and it's 80% merino, 10% nylon, 10% cashmere. You want to talk about making some beautiful socks that will just be treasured for all time right there. Please excuse my coughing. So the Finch, I definitely wanted to grab some Finch, but they didn't have any Finch in colors that I really liked at the time on display. So I didn't get any Finch, but I planned on going back to get some. And then I did feel the Chick Fluff, which is a fingering weight, 38% baby alpaca, 25% merino, 17% Pima cotton. It actually felt really great. And I think it was because the cotton in there for me made the itchiness of the alpaca for myself less. So it looked really good. So I just clicked on that particular one. And as you scroll down, you want to go past up there where it's all the kits. This is where you can find the two different types of Chick Fluff. Okay, can you see that? They're two different kinds. And then here are the colorways that are available right now that you could check out. Does that make sense? So if we come back up here, and I love kits. You guys know I love kits. And I click on Raven, you can see just this beautiful colorways that she has together for the Raven. I mean, look at this. Oh my gosh, so pretty. Wonder if this is like, does that have, what is mine called? What did I say it was called? Range line. Yeah, I don't see it. But that doesn't mean she doesn't have it. Anyways, there's some absolutely gorgeous colors here. Indigo Guinea Fiber. Check it out if you get a chance. I think you will love it. What do you think? Yeah? All right. So that's the new yarn I wanted to bring up just to show it to you guys because maybe you've never seen it before. And you know what? It's great to support local businesses who are, doing great for the community and really making it work. You know what I mean? And she was very kind. She has a wonderful like souped up truck that she travels around, and it's like a traveling yarn store. It's pretty darn awesome. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really great. Okay, so as far as patterns, I don't know if you guys noticed, the patterns that came out this week on Ravelry, and I tend to look at Ravelry quite a bit when it comes to patterns, just to kind of see what's out there. And something that a lot of people are really looking at lately are these snood sort of pieces, right? Let me see if I can pull my Ravelry page over here so that way I can share it with you guys. Because I want to get your opinion if you think that, oh, that's not what I want. I want this. I want to get your opinion if this is what you guys think of too. So can you see down here, like this winter warmer, like this snood looking thing? And there's another one, there's a hood, and then I know Laura Nelkin came out with one recently that became very popular. So I'm going to click on the top 20. Yeah, here you go. Hoodala. So these tend to be very popular right now. Have any of you ever made it? Yes, it is because we're all freezing, Mindy. Absolutely. But I've seen a lot of these made. Now, Laura is a friend of mine. She is absolutely fantastic. Wonderful designer, wonderful teacher. And she's just a great human being. So if you're looking for somebody to support, I absolutely highly recommend Laura Nelkin. And she always does something fun and exciting with her designs. One thing that she has been doing, she's been using, I don't know if she calls it a stitch saver. Where is mine? Anyways, it's like this cord. I'll have to find it. Somebody remind me to do this next time. It's like a cord that it's like a hole in it, but you could put the cord on your needles and you could push your stitches on the cord so that it can hold stitches for you if you need to go back and pick up stitches, or you can put those on this really easy cord to try on something if you're doing something top down. And it doesn't have to be super expensive. Like I bought mine on Amazon and I got like this huge amount of yardage also. And it's just really handy. I'll make sure that I do that next time. Maybe we do like a tools time next time because it's really super great. But one of the things about Laura is she uses those tools for sure. But these particular pieces, I have never been interested in wearing any sort of like a balaclava. Is that how you say that? Like I've never had any interest in wearing anything like that. Or a snood or anything like. Am I just crazy? Am I just not hip? Like, is that what's happening? Because I look at this and it reminds me of that meme that used to go around where some greyhound dogs had that on their face and they were like, really? Anybody remember that? So I mean, I don't know. I don't know if maybe I'm just not in with the times, that everybody is thinking, hey, we got to make these fun things because it's super cold outside and these are great. Like I would just rather make a hat and a cowl, but I guess this is just the way to look at it is just a one piece hat and cowl, right? Let's see what the Sophie hood. So this is like a hood and then a scarf attached. I do not know Petite Knits, the designer, but I am a fan of hers 100%. Like she's got some really great patterns out there. I've purchased quite a bit of hers for her. Yes, the barber cord. Yes, the barber cord. It's pretty great. Anyways, this designer is really fantastic. But again, not something I would make. But it tends to be, it's something that a lot of people right now are whipping up on Ravelry. So if you don't know how to work Ravelry, if you go right here to browse patterns in this order, it will show you all the hot right now patterns in the order of how they're, most popular right now. So you can kind of look through here and see, yes, hats and these hoodie things are very popular. It's just wild to me. But here's another one right there. I mean, it's Laura's also. Look at that. Like she's went all in on this style. And this one, obviously, she's used brioche and she has incorporated her cowtopus design that she was working on. I mean, it's exciting to see that she's, really embracing it. I just don't know if it's something that I would make. And that doesn't mean that it's bad. I'm not meaning that it's bad. I just don't know if it's something I would make. I would love to know what you guys think, whether you're going to leave a comment here in the live or afterwards. Are these pieces that you would make? Would you make a snood? Would you wear a snood or a hood with a cowl attached, or what else? What they call it? Balaclava. Is that how you say that word? You guys can correct me. I'm sure you guys will. But those are the big popular patterns that are coming on right now. And so I'm just like, I don't know. It's not really something I would do. But so if you wanted to, you could try out that yarn and get one of these patterns and put them together, and you'd have a match made in heaven, and it would totally be up to you. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next segment, which is Ask Marley Monday. And this is a brand new segment. We talked about it briefly last week when I said, I want you guys to go and ask me any question, and I'll randomly select somebody to answer their question. And if I remember correctly, I said either they were going to get, I think it was a pattern. I'm pretty sure it was a pattern, because then I asked people to take a picture of them watching the show here, which we're going to do again, and use hashtag Mondays with Marley. And if you do that, if I pick you as the winner for that, you get a free available item inside the Marley Birdhouse. So for me, I am going to come over here. So I am inside the Marley's Minions Facebook page. This is where I did all of the questioning. And you can see here, I put this as a featured question. So you can click on this, and I made a whole image for it, so that you can see, you just put your question below. And if I answer your question, then yeah, you get a free pattern. Okay. So you get a free pattern. So the question that I chose for this week, I've already chosen it. Let me open this up, and I'm going to all comments. Okay. So it was by Heather Simmons. Heather Simmons. Is it here? There it is. Heather Simmons. So she used the hashtag Ask Marley Monday. She misspelled my name, but that's okay. I'm going to forgive her. What is your crochet story? How, why, when did it start? So I am going to talk to you about that just briefly. I'm going to try and put that together in about 5 or 6 minutes. So if you don't know my story, I was first a crocheter. I wanted to learn to crochet ever since I was a little girl, but my parents did not, really encourage it at all. My grandmother did crochet, and we used to visit her during the summer. And I always wanted to learn, but there never was enough time. So fast forward, literally to my college years, and one day before Thanksgiving, I asked my grandmother to come up and visit me at my college, which was Colorado State University. And I took her out to dinner, and I didn't know what to do with her afterwards, because it was right by Thanksgiving. So there weren't like any bingo parlors open. The shopping, it was all the shopping malls were getting ready to close. Like I didn't know what to do. And so I had this bright idea. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have my grandma show me how to crochet. So I asked her, I'm like, could you show me? She said, absolutely. So we went to that world famous yarn store called Walmart, and I picked up a skein of Red Heart Super Saver yarn in some stripes, and 2 colors of solids, a white and a blue. Picked up a boy crochet hook, and picked up a leisure arts book. I think it was like learn different stitch patterns, like 48 different stitch patterns or something like that. Went home, and she taught me how to crochet, and she taught me what I thought was the single crochet, but it ended up that I was just doing slip stitches back and forth. So what I thought I was doing single crochets, I just had rows and rows of slip stitches, and it was a little bit tricky. But she got me straightened out as we got together for Thanksgiving. She got me straightened out. I was like, I'm ready to go. Now, mind you, this is all at the start of the internet. This is the start of eBay. This is the start of PayPal. This is the start of everything. So I started to learn, and I'm like, I want to learn more and more. Now, as far as I know, YouTube wasn't out yet. So I went onto eBay, and I'm like, are there any more crochet and knitting books? And this like plethora of knitting and crochet books came up, and I just started buying everything crochet, not knitting, crochet. And I just became absolutely obsessed. I was crocheting every time I got home from school. I was crocheting as I was going on track trips. I really fell in love with it. As you move forward, I loved crocheting very much. And then I got married, and I started working. And that is right when blogs started. And I watched, I think it was like a 60 minutes or something along those lines. And it was talking about blogs. And there was this whole topic of there's special niche blogs, like where people who are typically a very at-home sort of craft are finding their place in these niches with like Yahoo groups and stuff and these blogs. So I was like, I wonder if there are knitting and crochet blogs. So I looked it up and I found the Yarn Harlot, and I read about her obsession with knitting socks and her like ode to socks. And I would absolutely say now she is an acquaintance friend of mine, and we've talked about socks since then. And she's got some really great ways to think about them. But the way she spoke about making socks made me just sit back and be like, I can make socks. I I could make socks. Like that's something I could do. And it was right then that I wanted to learn to knit. So my pastor's wife taught me how to knit. Well, I'm going to flash back. My stepmother-in-law, Jill, who's fantastic, Jill Wright, tried to teach me how to knit, and she knits Scottish methods. So she has her needles and she puts them underneath her arm like this and she knits like this. Well, I'm a little busty here. So if you guys don't know, like if you're listening, I put the knitting needle underneath my armpit, and there's not very much room to work, right? Unless you have really super long needles. And so I was like, there has to be another way. And that's when my pastor's wife was like, well, you're a crocheter. Let me show you how to do something called continental. And she showed me how, and the rest is history. I learned to continental knit. My first actual like practice swatch, because I'm going to call it a swatch because I never finished it, was a seed stitched scarf. And the whole reason I did it was to try and teach myself how to knit and purl, knit and purl, knit and purl. And I figured if I was doing something back and forth, not only would I learn to knit and purl, but I could then begin to start to read my knitting to understand when I should knit and when I should purl. And then my first big project, my next thing that I jumped into was making socks. So my first big project was a pair of socks because that's what I wanted to make. So in a nutshell, that is my story, how I got into all this. There is a multitude more of the story to how I got to where I am today. And if that's something you'd be interested to hear about, we can absolutely talk about it in different segments, because honestly, if it was a story that you were reading, you would say to yourself, there is no way that's true. That is completely made up. Things like that don't happen. And I'm here to tell you that I have been extremely blessed and very lucky, and my life is a story that you just would not believe, and it's exciting. So yeah, that's how I became a knitwear and crochet designer, and that's how I learned to crochet. So how about that? What do you guys think? Yeah? All right. So thank you so much to Heather Simmons. Heather, I'm going to leave you a note in the group so that way we can get in touch with you and make sure that you get your free pattern. You can pick any pattern that is available inside the Marley Bird Ravelry store. So Chrissy or Sharon will help you out with that. And so you'll be good to go. Very awesome. All right. Before we jump into the actual lunch and learn portion, I do want to mention the Mondays with Marley hashtag. If you remember at the end of the last podcast, I mentioned if you took a picture of yourself watching the show and posted it and used the hashtag Mondays with Marley, so hashtag Mondays with Marley, I would pick a winner, and you could pick any of the available products inside the Marley Bird house for yourself. So all you would need to do is pick up your camera, say cheese, take a picture, and then when you go to Instagram or Facebook, up to you, I'll tell you whichever one you want to do, and use hashtag Mondays with Marley with your picture. If I choose it, then you win a free Marley Birdhouse item. So I have already picked my winner, and this time I did pick it out of Instagram. So in Instagram, I did a search hashtag Mondays with Marley, so that way I can follow this hashtag. And you can see here, there are people like this was one I did, but a lot of my friends posted their pictures. I love it. A lot of you did it inside of the Marley's Minions Facebook group as well, which is really great. Very exciting. I love seeing all of your happy faces. And I chose this one. I randomly chose this one. So Michaela Brothers, thank you so much. You are the lucky winner of the Mondays with Marley. I'm going to leave you a note here live on the show. Hi, Michaela. You are the lucky winner. Please email me to claim your prize. And so I'm hoping people know that I'm not like, they know it's not a scam or anything, but contact at marleybird.com is the email address. So contact at marleybird.com. Michaela, we will make sure that you get your prize, and we'll make sure that, there aren't any rotten people out there who are trying to pretend that they are you when they're not. but congratulations. So same thing applies this week, you guys. If you happen to take your picture, hello, you can take a picture right now and post hashtag Mondays with Marley and let the people know that you're enjoying the show, you're enjoying the information you're getting. I would really appreciate that. And if you get a chance to leave a review on any of the podcast sites that we happen to upload the audio to, I would appreciate that also. All right, guys, here is the next part. So for the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to jump in and do a lunch and learn. And this lunch and learn is all about the Amanda Woods knit cocoon cardigan. Now, I'm curious if any of you heard that, Amanda Woods, and you're like, oh, I know what that's from. I'm curious if any of you know what that's from, because it's significant. Amanda Woods was one of the patterns that was in the Jolly Holiday Collection Volume 2. It was also a free pattern that is available on marleybird.com. And at this point in time, you can follow along with the free pattern on the website, which the link is in the video description box below. Or you could purchase the ad-free PDF for a uninterrupted crafting experience. All right, so totally up to you. But I am going to jump over here and make sure I had it up and now I don't see it here. So I'm going to pull up the website so that way we can view the pattern together, because one thing I want you guys to understand is we found a little error. I had put down, I missed 2 stitches in the cast on, so we added 2 stitches, not that big of a deal. But I already have it right here on the front page. If you don't find it there, you could always click on the spyglass button in the top left corner of the website, and you could always do a search for Amanda Woods. Or right here on the very first page, you could click the Amanda Woods image if it is still there. This takes you to Ravelry, because at the time it wasn't available in the free pattern, but you could click on info and notes. Where is it? Pattern website. So that's the long way to get there. If you wanted to do it differently, like I said, you could come here. It's on the blog as well. You could view all the recent blog posts or do the search just like I mentioned, but you could click right here for the free pattern. I just clicked on blog and then I scrolled down to Amanda Woods and it's the same pattern. Okay. Now, remember, if you're on the website, yes, there are going to be ads because the ads pay for the free pattern. That's what allows me to offer a free pattern. And as you scroll down, if you are part of the Grow program or not part of the Grow program, you have to be part of the Grow program to view the free pattern. So this is, I mean, you can see it's a lot of information coming down through here. And if you want to learn more about Grow, I have a whole section right here written up that you could check out. But Grow, all that means is as you scroll down, you get to where the pattern is, you'll see an area where it says unlock this exclusive content. And all that really is you have to log in to view. So you're going to join Grow. It's really super easy. You log in to Grow and it should pop up immediately. So I think I did it with this. And then there you go. So it pops up. Here's the pattern. And then with Grow, usually you'll have an area where you could say, yep, over here. So you could save this pattern to your Grow profile, or you could, what is this one? So you can save it, search, bookmark. There's all sorts of information you can do with the Grow. It's totally up to you. But right here is the pattern itself. If you keep scrolling, here's the cuffs. Here's the collar and then more information. Okay, so this is the pattern. What I did want to mention to you is, like I said, we did have these where they were only multiples of 4 and it should have been 4 plus 2. So I just added 2 stitches to each one of those numbers. And that's all you really need to know. Now, the link to this pattern is in the video description box or in the description panel of your podcast, or just go to marleybird.com, like I said, and look up Amanda Woods. And you can absolutely grab that. Okay, you guys ready? So what I have done is I have worked up a swatch. So that way I can show you how to work up these stitches on bigger yarn and different yarn. This yarn is completely different than the unforgettable yarn that I used in the sample. So we're going to give this a look. Okay, so this yarn, this could qualify as a new yarn as well. This yarn here, this is Bernat Spark. This is a brand new Yarnspirations yarn called Bernat Spark. Okay. It's obviously multicolored. It's really big. It's a bulky yarn. And I just think it's a lot of fun. I was hoping that it would help you see stitches or see how to do the stitches as they're on my needle. So that's why I chose the big yarn. Now, following along with the pattern, what you will do is you want to use circular needles first off, and you'll use size 9 circular needles if that's what you get gauge with. That's what I did with the pattern. You'll use size 9 circulars, and the circulars are only to accommodate the number of stitches you are casting on because it's a lot of stitches. You will not be working in the round. Once you've cast on those stitches, you will then jump in to a 4-row stitch pattern. And that's where I am. I am on row 1 after you cast on stitches. Now, I'm assuming you know how to cast on stitches, so I'm not going to waste your time with that. So what I'm looking at here, I'm looking at the wrong side of my work. And the very first row is a wrong side row of the lace section, and you're just going to purl. So in each one of these stitches, I am just going to purl across. And my little swatch here, I have 22 stitches because it's 4 stitches plus 2. Okay. So I'm just going to work all the way across. Karen, if you are not getting the grow box, one of the things you could do is you could clear your cache and check that out. After that, that's usually one of the problems that we have had to help people with is when they sign up, usually they have to clear their cache or they're already signed in and they don't have to re-sign in. So hopefully that will help you out. Okay, once you purl that whole first row, one thing you can make note of is every time you're on a wrong side row, you're just going to purl. The action rows are only on the right side rows. So the very first right side row is where we're going to set up our very simple lace. Now, this is very, very simple lace. If you guys can see, it kind of looks like a column of ribs and then a little like simple lace section. And the reason I wanted to keep it as very simple lace is the yarn I used for the sample is Unforgettable yarn. If you know about that yarn, it's a very colorful. It has a little bit of a self stripe to it. So as you make this piece, you're making it from side to side. So it allows the colors look like they're vertical as they're on the back as you're wearing it. And then I didn't want to do a lot of stitching work that was just going to get hidden with the color, but I did want something a little bit more interesting than just stockinettes, which is why I chose this very simple lace work. Okay. So what you will do is you'll start off with knit 2. And then here is your repeat. You do a purl 2 together. So you have 2 stitches on your left-hand needle. Take your right-hand needle, stick it into the front leg of the second stitch and the front leg of the first stitch. And then literally knit them together. So now you have 1 stitch on your right-hand needle and let those 2 stitches jump off. So we just did a decrease. Well, we don't want our stitch count to change. So if we do a decrease, we also have to do an increase. So our increase is going to be a yarn over. So our yarn is in back. Bring it forward between your needles. Bring it up top over your right-hand needle back to the back and hold it there. That's all you have to do. That little yarn right there as it's resting on your right-hand needle, that is your yarn over. I like to put my finger on it so it doesn't go anywhere. And then I go on and I knit the next 2 stitches. And right there, those 4 stitches, that's our repeat. That's what you'll repeat all the way down the row. Okay. So you will, this is knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2, knit 1, knit 2, knit 2 together. Oops. Knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, knit 2. You guys see that so far? Knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, knit 2. You're down to the last 4 stitches. You knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, knit 2. Easy so far, right? Like this is definitely going to be like a Netflix and chill sort of pattern. Like once you get going with it, you're going to know exactly where you are. Muncie, the only difference, it won't change anything in your swatch. It was the cast on number. You just add we added 2 stitches. All right, so I'm on the wrong side row. What did I tell you before? We're just going to purl these stitches. So I purl all of the stitches. And if this is the first time you've ever done any sort of a lace pattern, you might not be familiar with the way those yarn overs look. You can see there, it looks like it's just this extra string on your needle. That's exactly what it's supposed to look like. Okay, so you're just going to purl it. We want it to be open, so we're going to purl it through the leg that's stepping forward. And we're just purling all the way across. One thing I do want to make sure you guys are aware of, as I'm purling, I'm taking the yarn over top of my right hand needle and down. I'm not going under it and around, right? Over top and down. Excuse me. That makes a difference on how the stitch rests on your needles when everything is complete. That's why it's important to note that. All right, so I'm back to my right side row. So this would be my row 4. So this is the last row of my 4-row repeat. And for this, it's really simple. We knit 2. We purl 1. So we bring our yarn between our needles, purl 1 stitch, bring our yarn back to the back, and then knit 3. 1, 2, and 3. Bring our yarn between the needles to the front and purl 1. Bring our yarn between the needles to the back and knit 3. Purl 1, knit 3. And you would just do this all the way down to the end of your row, depending on how many stitches you are casting on for the size you're making. Just remember the cast on number that you are doing, that is the number as it would reach from the top of your, like this is going to rest this way. So if this is where your head goes and this is where your bottom is, so this is the like, I want to say the length, right? And then we're working it the width wise. Does that make sense? Okay. So the cast on number down here, it's, if you feel like it's too long or too short, like you can absolutely adjust it. It's absolutely up to you. It's very forgiving in that way. Just remember that if you adjust this, if you don't adjust this, your proportions could be funny. So you do just kind of want to pay attention to that a little bit as you go. All right. So you would work these 4-row repeats until your rectangle is as long as is written in the pattern. And once it reaches that, you're going to bind off. And what it says is bind off loosely. Essentially, you want your bind off to mimic the same stretch as down here. Okay. So you want to have the same stretch as down there. So you could bind off as normal, and I'm going to bind off purlwise. So I'm going to purl 2 stitches and then have the back stitch jump the front stitch, right? And then purl again, back stitch jumps the front stitch. And I'm just making sure that I'm keeping this nice and loose. If I wanted them to be a little bit stretchier, I'm going to undo these 2 that I just did. If I wanted it to be a little bit stretchier, one thing I could do, let me get the first 2 purl stitches here, is instead of having this back stitch jump the front, I could actually go into these 2 stitches and like knit them together. Does that make sense? Okay. So I could purl 1, go into these 2 stitches through the front leg, and then purl them together. And it gives me a little bit more stretch. Purl 1, and it gives me a little more stretch. I'm going to show you here. See how much more stretch I'm getting there? Okay. This is not one of those things that you have to do if you're really good about keeping your bind offs nice and loose so that they aren't super tight. You could absolutely just do that. It's totally up to you. But this is just one of those things that it's nice when the bind off edge here matches the cast on edge as far as elasticity. And maybe you've never done this sort of stretchy bind off before. And it's fairly easy. It's like I'm doing a single crochet, actually. Does that make sense? So I'm going to come here. And I'm going to just keep going. I see some of the questions you guys have in here. I will go and answer some of your questions before the end of all this. So keep them coming. I'll try and make sure I get all the questions answered. And yes, I am using a larger yarn right here than is written in the pattern, but I did that on purpose to try and make it so that it was easier to see on the camera. But if you are a budding designer and just want to, make the alterations and figure out your own gauge, do the dimensions, you absolutely could do that. All right. So I'm just do this here. Cut my yarn. Give that a pull. And here we go. So I have a rectangle. Okay. So I have a rectangle here. Now, if we go back over here to our instructions, it says to work the rectangle. And then now it said that you should block it to the schematic. If you're doing an acrylic yarn, you really don't have to block it. If you're using a wool, absolutely block it to a schematic size. But acrylic, unless you're going to steam block it, which I do not, let me say this really clearly, I do not recommend steam blocking Unforgettable. If you're using Unforgettable, do not steam block it. Do not do that. But if you are using a wool and you want to steam block it or you want to wet block it, you absolutely could do that. Okay. But then you'll see here, it says finishing, fold the corners down diagonally as shown in the schematic. And it gives you measurements here from the short edge and then mark 4.5 inches from the center point towards the edge, blah, blah, blah. So essentially, here's what we're going to do. I'm going back over here to my hand. So we have this rectangle. I'm going to put the rectangle with the right side up, just like so. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to pull this corner down and this corner up. Okay. And then you pull this corner down and this corner up. Okay. You see that? And what we will do is we will leave open a portion over here on this edge and a portion over here on this edge. And that's where your cuffs go. So when the piece talks about, measuring out 4.5 inches from the center point towards the edge, like this is the center point towards the edge. This is so that you can put your cuffs there. You can make it bigger. You can make it smaller. It's totally up to you. But this is where you will use double pointed needles if you want to, and you can pick up stitches and work in the round to do the join. Obviously, mine is not to scale, so I'm just picking some markers here, and I could pop those down. And all that does now is I have a sectioned off here. This is where my cuffs would go. Okay. Now, remember when I said if you change the measurements of the width here, or the height, whatever your cast on number, and you don't change the number that you're working, this measurement could be off. So it could be, if this is too short, this opening here could end up being too wide for you. So you just want to make sure that your proportions look good for yourself. Okay. And it's at this point that you could use your tails, which is a really great option. So if you left your tail from your cast on and your tail from your bind off, you can use those to whip stitch these together. And you want to make sure you're doing the whip stitch on the inside. So I'm just going to kind of flip it around like so. And when you're using a bigger yarn like this, or the fluffy yarn like the Unforgettable, it doesn't have to be like super pretty or anything. It can, not ugly. You don't want it ugly, but you don't have to like fret too much about like a mattress stitch join or anything. Just whip stitch them together. That's all you really need. Okay. Make sure that you have it all tucked in well, and then you can cut your tail. And then you could do the same over here. See that? Okay. Y'all with me so far? So we can do the same thing over here on this side. I don't want to waste too much time doing this because I know that you've already seen me do it. And for those of you listening right now, I am just using the tail of my cast on, and I'm joining the short edge of my rectangles together to create a seam for the front of my cocoon cardigan. And I'm leaving open a bit at the fold portion. If you get a chance to take a look at the video or take a look at the schematic, you'll see exactly what I mean. I'm leaving a bit of the fold portion open so that way I could go back and pick up stitches to do a cuff there. If you didn't want to do a cuff, if you wanted to leave it open, you could do that too. It's going to look a little bit unfinished, so I don't recommend that. And the cuff actually really helps hold the piece on really well. So that's one of the reasons I like the cuff. And I have it's a really long cuff that I did. So that way it could be folded up if you wanted to. Okay. But this is what you have here. Now, one of the first questions that everybody tends to ask me is, okay, Marley, now you have the next portion, the collar portion, right? You have it made separately. Why don't we just pick up stitches and work around here? Well, the answer is you technically could. You could pick up stitches at the mark points we're getting ready to do, and you could pick up stitches and then work towards towards the inside of the body if you wanted to. I chose not to. I wanted to have this moss stitch here. I didn't want it to have this direction. I wanted it to be this direction. And honestly, it's more because, where's my actual sample? I had it here just a couple minutes ago. And there it is. It's right in front of me. So let me look down here again. I wanted this moss stitch. I wanted it to have this direction of stitching, and I wanted my the stripes on the Unforgettable to go this direction versus the other. This is the back where it went up and down. I wanted a difference in the two. So that is why I did a separate collar here that is then stitched on right here to that inside edge. Okay, that's why I chose to do that. So there's a method to my madness, and I get it. Like, nobody really likes to do a lot of seaming and stuff, but when you're dealing with a self-striping yarn or a yarn that wants to pool and such, sometimes you have to play around with the stitches and the direction, so that way you know exactly how it's going to look. So on my Know Your Worth cardigan, yes, we picked up stitches and then we did a 2x2 ribbing coming out. I liked the way that looked, but this one, I wanted the stripes on the back to look like they were up and down. And then the stripes on the front, I wanted them to kind of come horizontally. Does that make any sense? Hopefully that does, but that's why the collar is made separately from the body. If you wanted to do it the other way, you absolutely could do that. And this is done using the moss stitch. So for the moss stitch, I know this is a little bit harder to see with this particular yarn, but with the moss stitch, what you'll notice is that you're doing the seed stitch, but you're stacking the same stitch for 2 rows. So I am on a wrong side row here. Okay, this was my very first row. And I know that on my wrong side row, I'm going to do opposite of what I see. So I'm looking at a knit here. And this is all written in the pattern too, like the actual pattern. You could follow along with it too. So I'm going to purl that. And then I know that if I purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. And my collar, when you're working on the collar, you guys, it is a really wide collar, and that is by design. The collar itself is to be extra wide, so you could choose to fold it over on your body, or you could cross over your body. You could do whatever you want. As I turn my work, my tail is on the opposite side. I know I'm going to do exactly what I'm looking at on my needles. So this one I'm going to knit. So I'll knit this one, and then I'll purl this one, and I'm coming across. So now I've essentially done 2 rows of the same stitch stacked on each other, right? So when I turn my work back now to my other row, I know I'm going to do opposite. So I have the purl, purl, right? So right here, I'm looking at a purl. You see that? I'm looking at a purl. So I'm going to knit. And again, this moss stitch pattern is written out, so you can follow it row for row. But I feel like it's really nice to kind of see how you can look at your work and understand what it is you're doing without having to look at a pattern all the time. And if the moss stitch is too confusing for you and you wanted to do the seed stitch, you could do that as well. You absolutely don't feel like you have to do moss stitch. You could do seed stitch. If you wanted to do ribbing, you could do ribbing. Totally up to you. You could absolutely make this your own. But that is how you're going to do moss stitch. You just keep going back and forth, and it gives you this really great texture. I know that the colors here make it difficult to kind of identify it, but it's a really rich texture. Like I know you can kind of see the bumps here, and it's really nice as it rests up against the open lace, the smoothness of the lace with the texture. Okay. Now on the pattern, one thing you'll notice is it tells you, and I'm going to put it back over here again. So if you're looking at the pattern at the second schematic, it will tell you that it has right down here these 4 inches. And essentially what it means is you are going to come down here to the bottom of your, let me put it down here. You're coming down here to the bottom of your square, and you're going to measure up 4 inches. Obviously mine is not to scale. So let's say I measure it up to right there. Okay. And just put a marker there. And then I want to do the same thing, about the same spot, not about, you want to do it the same spot on the other side. Okay. Now you might be like, why? Why do I want to do that? Well, when I designed this piece, I did not want my collar to pull in around my bottom. I wanted my bottom of my cocoon cardigan to be open. So in order to do that, I made it so that my collar attaches a little bit up from this bottom portion, so that as this is resting on you, it's not like it's too far in, it's not too far out. It's the perfect spot to then take your collar as you finish it. And when you go to attach it starting at that stitch marker. And then you make your collar long enough so that it goes up all the way around your opening down to this stitch marker. So if you wanted to, again, customize your square, the pattern is written so that way you can have this piece also be customized, because it doesn't give you a set length to work to. It tells you to mark these points and then make your collar and keep like attaching or like kind of setting it up on here and seeing if it's long enough to attach it all the way around. Does that make sense? And as far as the collar goes, you could do a mattress stitch, but at the same time, you could just do a whip stitch. You could just join it together. Okay. Make sense so far? Okay. So that's the reasoning behind the collar. And then that's how you do this piece. As far as the stitches here, I would recommend using double pointed needles, and you'll see that I chose smaller needles just to make the cuff a little bit tighter. You don't have to do that. If you wanted to use the same size needles, you could, but you would just go around and pick up stitches. So with the right side facing you, just yarn over your needle and pick up a stitch. And then go to the next and pick up a stitch until you have the number of stitches that you need for around the cuff, and then just work in your ribbing all the way around the cuff. Okay. Very, very easy to do. Not a lot of difficult stitches to do, not a lot of difficult construction. I think the hardest part is just maintaining attention long enough to make this portion big, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of knitting that you have to do. But you can see here the little bits of ribbing here, and then the really delicate lace where it's just kind of it's just there. It's just cute. And then as I pull in, see here. Sorry, give me just a second. I don't know why that's playing. So as I pull this in here, you can see my collar. It's very, very wide. And the reason I made it this wide is so that way I could cuff it back on itself. And I could use a pin to have it closed, or I could keep it open and really kind of just fold it around myself. And so one thing that I've done here is I have taken pictures, and I wanted to be able to show you like how you could style this. So you can see here, as I'm wearing the Amanda Woods knit cocoon cardigan, this is the cuff I was telling you about. This is the seam that we just did. That's the seam right there. And then where I did the 4 inches up from the back, you can see my collar just goes right there to the side of my body. And so it's nice and wide. And so I can have the lace portion a little bit off my shoulder. I could pull it up and cuff my collar a little bit. It's totally up to you. As I go to the next one, this is the one I was telling you that I could use a shawl pin to hold it closed. Very attractive. It looks good. Right here, just pulling it together. Let's see, keep going. This is if you wanted to leave it nice and open. You can see that I have nothing pulling on the back half of my sweater. So it's a very flattering look. And then can you see here about the striping that I was telling you? So these stripes here, they look really nice. And then as it turns around, I'll show you the back. These stripes here are vertical, so you get a very slimming fit. Here's another look with the shawl pin here. I wanted you to get a look at how this side edge looks. So as you're seaming it together, you do want to make sure that this seam here looks nice. You don't want that to be your raw edge, okay? You want that to be, the raw edge should be on the inside. And this is where I was showing it here. So this is the raw edge is on the inside of my cardigan, and you just don't see it. Whether you're wearing it with the collar open or folded over, it's good either way. And this is where I'm saying you could wear it where you just snuggle it up in it. This is what the back looks like when it comes to the collar, how it's attached. Okay, can you see the collar, how the striping, it all looks like it goes together. See how cool that is? I just think that's awesome. And then again, here's the longer look where it's not pulling in on my bottom. I did not want it to pull in on my bottom. I wanted vertical stripes. You can see that the very, very simple lace, it's just very, very simple. Just a little bit of color of my shirt underneath is popping out, and it just is just a good little fit. So that is the Amanda Woods cardigan. All right. All right. So let me get back over here. How are we feeling? That was like a crash course. 30 minutes is really fast. I got to say, to teach somebody how to do it, it's really fast, but it's a very, very comfortable piece. And I enjoy it. I enjoy wearing it quite a bit. So let me try and get to some of your questions here before I let you go. And let's see here. Lisa says it would be nice to look at the back of it. Well, you just saw the back of it. So that's good. You must have asked that right before I showed you the back. Please show us the sample of where the collar joins the rectangle. I think I just showed you that in the pictures, but just in case you wanted it closer, where the collar joins the rectangle. Right here. So here's my collar. So you're looking at the inside. Here is the inside seam that I showed you just how to do, the inside seam. So here's the collar as it just joins all the way around. And then on the outside, this is what it looks like. You can fold it over. You can have it open. It's totally up to you. You can do whatever you want. All right. So, okay, I just did that. Let me come back to my face here. Let's see here. So Marley, I've been lurking for this stream, but wanted to tell you thank you while I had you live. Learned corrugated ribbing with your colorwork hat and have added it to other projects. Thank you. You're more than welcome. I love that. I think it's a really great technique to do for sure. Let me keep going up here if I can make sure. Muncie, yes, it's very similar to the Know Your Worth cardigan as far as the shape, just different color, and obviously the fitting on the back end is different. Muncie actually just finished her Know Your Worth cardigan, everybody. So, and she looks lovely in it. She looks great. She shared it with us in the Marley's Minions group. Let me keep going here. I found the Hirschner's 2-ply needed to steam block when I did a lace shawl with it. It looked wonky before. Sarah, I don't know if the Hirschner's 2-ply is an acrylic or not, and I don't know what kind of yarn it is. The biggest thing when it comes to steaming acrylic, when you steam acrylic, you are killing it. Like you're purposely killing it, whether you over steam it and really kill it or steam it enough that it makes it relax and fall into place, you're still killing the acrylic. So the way Unforgettable is made, oh, I can see here, you're asking that too. Why not steam Unforgettable? The way the Unforgettable is made, if you steam it, it's literally going to become just nonsense, sloppy mess. It's just not gonna, hold any structure. It's not gonna be sort of this like halo-y. It's just not gonna look good. And if you don't believe me, just work up a swatch and then do a steam block on your swatch and see how it reacts. It is not good. And Red Heart absolutely does not recommend steam blocking your Unforgettable. Actually, Red Heart is very reluctant to recommend steam blocking anything. It's really something you have to do with caution. Okay, Peggy says, Love learning to knit as a crocheter. I appreciate your videos and to be able to see them for free. Thank you. Also, thank you for the details and added advice. Peggy, you're more than welcome. Just remember that I also have the Marley Birdhouse where it is not free, but you have added video, added content, added instructions, and it's a lot of really great information over there as well. Diana Chamberlain, she says, thank you so much. She's never seen a bind off like that. And you don't have to do, I'm glad you've seen that bind off now. It's a very nice stretchy bind off. You could do it where you knit 2 stitches and then knit those 2 stitches together off of the right hand needle, or you could do the purl 2 and then work them together, whichever way, but it gives you a nice, really stretchy bind off. And it's really great for things where that bind off is incredibly important, like toe up socks. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Sarah is asking, if I'm just doing a basic knit or purl bind off, my bind offs are always so tight. Always use the elastic bind off ever since I learned it. Good call. Okay, B. Kern, she says, my mind is still back at yarn subbing. I have had so many failures when the finished project just wasn't as nice as the original yarn. I can completely understand that. And that's honestly where swatching comes in handy the most. And being diligent about your swatches, making sure your swatches are large enough to where you can really see what the fabric's going to look like. You can see if you were to block it, whether it's a wet block or a steam block, you can see what it's going to turn out like. When designers pick certain yarns, they not only pick the yarns because they like the fiber content or they like the color, but they like the way the fiber content and the twist of the yarn works with a particular stitch or a particular design. So there's a lot of reasoning that goes into the decision making that happens with designers choosing the yarns. So I think the more you can educate yourself about yarns, yarn types, yarn twists, that will help you, yarn fibers, that will help you make a better educated decision. And if you're looking for a book to help you learn more, look up a book called The Knitter's Book of Wool and The Knitter's Book of Yarn. Both of those are by Clara Parks. I know they say knitters, even crocheters, there's information in there that's vital to you. It will really help you educate yourself the most to be able to switch out yarns and understanding the fibers you are doing the most. Okay. Mindy Muncie, that's why I go and add the Jolly Holiday patterns to my library in Ravelry. So that way you have them. That works for sure. Let's see here. Sarah says, so the cardigan is worked sideways. Yes, that's cool. I haven't done a cardigan that way before. Yep, Sarah, that's why. And you obviously now you know why I did it that way is because of the color striping. And then so you have the colors going up and down and you have the lace going horizontally. I just like the way those connected. And so that's why I chose that for sure. All right, guys, it looks like that is all the questions I can see here. Just a reminder, this pattern is free on my website. If you go to marleybird.com and just look Amanda Woods Knit Cocoon Cardigan, or you could purchase it on Ravelry, on Shopify, or on Etsy. Totally up to you. And you can have a really fun piece. All right. Last but not least, I want you to know what we're going to learn next week during Mondays with Marley. And my plan is to show you how to make the cold water crochet Ruana. So if you don't know the clear water, bleh, let me go up here. If you don't know this particular piece, it's one of my favorite pieces. This here, let me pull it up. This is such a fun and beautiful piece. It's called a Ruana. You could think of it as a poncho or an oversized cardigan. The Creekside Crochet Ruana. This pattern has always been an only for purchase pattern, and I just recently made it available for free here on the website. And I did that specifically because I'm going to do it as a lunch and learn next week. So whether you follow along with us during the lunch and learn using the free pattern, or you want to purchase the ad-free PDF, which is available on Ravelry, on Shopify, and on Etsy, you can do either way, okay? But this is one of my favorite pieces. It's made using Peyton's Classic Wool. You could use other yarns to make it. You just want to make sure you get the correct gauge. This is a crochet piece. So this week we did knitting. Next week we're going to do crochet. You can see here, it's on the website. You could look up Creekside Crochet Ruana, and you just have a lot of fun. So keep scrolling. Again, the Grow program is used to lock the content. That's to help, honestly, guys, it's to help with AI. It's to help control thievery of patterns. And there's just a whole bunch of reasons why. So it's not, I'm really honestly not doing it. I've already logged into Grow. That's why it's not showing up. Yours would show up right now. But it's not there to make you mad. I promise. It's there for, it's to protect all of us. But because I'm already logged into Grow, it's not showing up for me. But you can see here that the pattern, it's a very long and extensive pattern. The stitch diagrams are only available in the ad-free PDF. So if you want those, you can get them in the ad-free PDF. But this is honestly one of my most popular patterns of all time. It was an extension of a Turkey Trot 2020 where we did the pocket shawls, and I wear it all the time. And I thought, you know what? You guys would love to learn those stitches, because once you know those stitches, you can absolutely carry on and make this fantastic Ruana. So hopefully you guys will join me next week for that lunch and learn. Until then, don't forget to take your picture. Take your picture, use hashtag Mondays with Marley, and maybe I will pick your picture to highlight, and you could get a free course or product that is available inside the Marley Birdhouse. Last but not least, don't forget the Buy Crafty Bestie box. We are releasing that this week. Just stay tuned. You're going to love it. I have loved hanging out with you guys so much. This has just been a delight. And I will see you next Monday, unless I see you online a little bit sooner than that. Okay, guys. Bye.
Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away.